It's so nice to see you all. Recently, I watched a film I had been wanting to see. The King's Warden. About 13 million Koreans have seen this film. Isn't that remarkable? Through this movie, we can glimpse the tragic life of a young king of the Joseon dynasty. The actor Park Ji-hoon very well portrayed the king with quiet dignity in subdued emotions. The story is about a tragic figure in Korean history, King Dojeon. I really like the scene where he shoots an arrow at a tiger jumping toward him in the mountains. In that scene, I could feel the king's charisma. I have actually visited the place of King Dojeon's exile about 20 years ago. Standing on a hill overlooking the site, I reflected deeply on the cruelty, injustice, and betrayal embedded in the history. Due to the Sinocentric self-subordination and colonial historiography shaped by Imperial Japan, the root history of Korea has been heavily distorted. In truth, Korea is the suzerain of Northeast culture, and yet most Koreans live without knowing the true origin and spirit of their culture and history. The colonial historical narrative left by Japan has distorted the cultural DNA of the Korean people. The histories of ancient kingdoms such as Hwanguk, Baedal, Gojoseon, and Bukbuyo are dismissed as mere myths. Instead, it has been mistaught that ancient northern Korea was a colony of China, and the southern part a colony of Japan. Such an outrageous fabrication still exists. But the truth is, Korea is the root, the parent of Northeast Asian history and culture. In fact, sages and scholars from Chinese dynasties called Joseon the cultural root and a teacher of civilization. Even Confucius wrote, "I wish to live in the land of Dongyi people." Terms like Dongyi and Guyi all refer to Gojoseon. Japan published a 35-volume text titled History of Joseon, in which they intentionally distorted Korean history. I own a full set of these books. These books became the basis for Korean history textbooks. As a result, many Koreans today are unaware of historical truth about Donggun, Joseon, Baedal, Sinsi, and Hwanguk, and so on. A few days ago, I rewatched the Hwandangogi book concert held in Ilsan, Korea. The book concert is an event dedicated to rediscovering the archetypal culture of Korea, the soul and root of Korean wave. It's a movement to restore Korea's lost ancient history and cultural spirit. I've been studying the history text Hwandangogi for over 50 years. I studied the lost history and culture of Korea through texts and fieldwork. I have visited historical sites in China, Japan, India, the Middle East, Africa, Europe, and the Americas in search of archetypal culture of humanity. I have also traveled to Russia. I continued my research until I no longer had any doubt about the records within the Hwandangogi, until I was fully convinced and satisfied with my recoveries regarding the archetypal culture and history of humanity. Through that process, the Hwandangogi came to be published in 10 different editions. And for the past 14 years,
콘서트를 한 거야. 환단곡.
I have been hosting the Hwandangogi book concert events. Unfortunately, Korean history has been misrepresented as merely a branch of China's Yellow River civilization. However, the true origin of the Yellow River civilization lies in the Hongshan culture located north of the Great Wall. China has been unable to properly interpret its significance, referring to it as a mysterious kingdom. They even acknowledge that it doesn't belong to the lineage of Chinese civilization. At the Hongshan culture sites, tombs, altars, and jade artifacts were excavated. In particular, a number of bear totem relics were found in a goddess tomb. Remarkably, a statue of a goddess seated in meditation was unearthed. This provides clear evidence that a spiritual culture existed as far back as 5,500 years ago, possibly even earlier. I have personally conducted field research in this region. Artifacts dating back 7,000 to 8,000 years have been discovered throughout the area. Then, what kind of culture was the Hongshan culture? The people of Hongshan revered the ideal of becoming one with heaven and earth, and becoming beings of light.
And from ancient times, Koreans have called such a person one who has become a radiant being and united with the mind of heaven and earth, Lang.
It is a word that carries a truly profound and beautiful meaning.
What does Rang mean?
It refers to a person whose body and mind are filled with the radiant light of heaven and earth. Only by truly awakening to the meaning of Lang can we recover the archetypal culture within the Korean wave. Korea was a teacher nation in the ancient Northeast cultural sphere, and the Korean people inherited this culture of Lang. Humanity, heaven, and earth have always been connected as one mind. They are one, never separate, not even for a single moment, whether we are aware of it or not. We live together with heaven and earth at every moment. This culture of Rang and the archetypal culture of humanity are recorded only in the Hwandangogi. The very first line of the book reads, O Hwan Gon Guk, meaning, our Hwan people founded the state of Hwanguk. Its deeper meaning is, we are all Hwan, the radiant and eternal light of the universe. The ones who revere this light and become one with it are called Hwan. So the true meaning of that passage is this. We Koreans are the Hwan people, a people of radiant light. As beings of cosmic light, we founded the state of Hwanguk. This is the definition of that passage. Hwanguk is the root of both Eastern and Western civilizations. In Middle Eastern history, the ancestor of the Hebrews is Abraham. Originally, he came from the city-state of Ur of the Chaldeans, located in what is now southern Iraq. Those city-states followed the model of Hwanguk's 12 sub-states. Abraham later migrated north, where his father passed away. He then migrated again to the land of present-day Israel. Abraham came from the Sumerian region and was a dark-haired man. From that same lineage came King David and Jesus Christ. In fact, Jesus was not blonde. He also had dark hair. Historians refer to the Sumerians as the black-headed people. How could Jesus have been blonde? Many historical records have been distorted, so there is much we misunderstand. The peoples from ancient civilizations of China, India, the Middle East, Europe, and Native Americans were all peoples of light. If you take field researches and look at the cultural artifacts of Native Americans, you can find abundant evidence of this.
번의 증거가 있어요. 답사를 해보면. 지구는 모든 인류가
When we examine the course of history, there has been one unchanging aspiration of humanity to become beings of light.
밝은 사람이 되고 싶다. 그걸 한 글자로
That
우리가
cosmic light was called Hwan, and a person who embodied that light was called Rang.
인간 존재 정의가 랑이다. 이 랑. 그래서
Now we are living in a time of great change, a transition from cosmic summer to cosmic autumn.
지금 이제 바뀌는데 천지의 시간이
A cosmic year spans 129,600 years, and it unfolds through 4 cosmic seasons.
이 우주 1년 4계절 시간대인데 이번
About
우주
50,000 years ago, during the cosmic spring, Cro-Magnon, the early Homo sapiens, first appeared.
크로마뇽이 나왔다고 그러고 자 5만 년 전 우주의
The cosmic spring began about 50,000 years ago, and we are now living at the end of the cosmic summer. At present, a year consists of 365 and a quarter days. However, a new order of balance and harmony will emerge, in which a year will consist of 360 days.
조화, 자유의 생명 시간대로
There will also be shifts in the movements of the celestial bodies during this great transformation called Gaebyeok.
자연과 문명 인간이
The order of human civilization is now undergoing a profound transformation.
극적인 문화 충격이
One of the most dramatic changes is the rise of AI civilization.
추구해온 그 모든
All the accumulated data of humanity across politics, economics, science, philosophy, the arts,
생활문화 그냥
and everyday culture has already been learned by AI systems such as Gemini.
저쪽에 있는 그 시스템
They say there's little left for these systems to learn anew.
학습을 다 했다는 거예요. 학습을 할 게 이제
Then what should come after this artificial intelligence?
그게 뭐겠어요? 바로 지금 인공지능
What we truly need now is the archetypal intelligence, the innate intelligence embedded deep within the universe, nature, and the human soul. This archetypal intelligence is the boundless, sacred wisdom within us.
And a new future civilization centered on this intelligence is called the civilization of Mansaji, enlightenment into all things.
아키타이플 인텔리전스라고 그래 똑같은 AI로 쓰는데 이게 3세기 전에 만사지 문명이다. 지금 이병환 교수가
Professor Lee Byung-han of Korea has said about this as well. He has written 3 books based on his field researches across the Eurasian continent, and last year he published a book on the United States. A book on Korea is expected to be released soon. He mentioned that he had read my New Year's message on the culture of Lang, and he said that the current AI civilization must unite with Korea's spiritual culture to advance toward its ultimate form. That spiritual culture is, in essence, a culture of beings of light. Founders in the American AI industry have expressed similar ideas. I saw a video in which they described a future where AI technology functions almost like the mystical arts of immortals in Taoism. With a simple gesture of the hand, information appears instantly. Call a taxi, and a drone vehicle arrives as swiftly as the wind. And an autonomous car asks you, "Where would you like to go?" and takes you there. In conclusion, a culture of immortals will emerge in the future. Robots will build other robots.
In the Jeung San Do, Dojeon, there is an expression,
A pavilion of 360,000 chambers. It refers to the central governing complex of the world which will be established in Korea, the land of Gaebyeok.
robots, often referred to as physical AI, will take on roles like the dokebi, in Korean folk tales.
Sangjenim declared, "I have established the blueprints for two civilizations of immortality. One will be realized through cutting-edge science. The other will emerge through spiritual cultivation, through what is called the culture of Yulyo immortality." In the world to come, a civilization of light will unfold. That infinite cosmic light is called Yulyo, the fundamental essence of yin and yang. And here is something I want to tell you. The car we ride in is not merely a machine of metal. These walls are not just made of earth. Even a fluorescent light is not simply a tool. All things are alive. And that is also called Yulyo. At this turning point between cosmic summer and autumn, archetypal intelligence will emerge. This is the fifth industrial revolution, the civilization of the cosmic autumn. In the future, scientific AI and archetypal intelligence will converge. It is said that the current AI civilization may reach the technological singularity within 3 to 5 years. Some say within 10. What is truly remarkable is that this transformation coincides with the time of the Autumn Gaebyeok. The fundamental source of the universe is light, and this light moves through the dynamic of yin and yang. The underlying principle of cosmic creation is the taeguk. Light itself is expressed as both particle and wave, time and space, heaven and earth, the sun and the moon, man and woman, the physical body and the spiritual body. All things consist of these two forces of yin and yang. What is the ultimate order of life that every human being comes to realize? It is that everyone inevitably faces death. The most fundamental theme of human existence is life and death. At the very end of life lies death. The human being itself is composed of two aspects, the physical body and the spiritual body. Do you remember what I mentioned before? The invisible body is the soul, and the visible soul is the body. Isn't it remarkable that we exist as a union of an invisible body and a visible soul? Heaven is formless, while earth has form. This may be a more subtle idea, but the energies of the Big Dipper and the three terraces combine to give rise to the heavenly soul, Han, and the earthly soul, Nuk, within humans. In Korean spiritual tradition, there are concepts such as the three heavenly souls and the seven earthly souls. Isn't this truly profound? Like this, Korean spiritual culture reveals deep truths about the nature of human existence. However, this profound knowledge and spiritual culture of Korea have not yet been properly introduced. What are the heavenly soul and the earthly soul? What happens to a person after death? Confucianism, Buddhism, Christianity, as well as philosophers, scientists, and psychologists have all grappled with these deep questions related to human existence, yet none has offered a fully satisfying answer.
In the teachings of the Dojeon, there is an answer to this question. Sangjenim taught,
Everyone possesses both a heavenly soul and an earthly soul. After death, the heavenly soul ascends to heaven and becomes a spirit, while the earthly soul returns to the earth. The physical body, once buried, eventually remains only as bones. The earthly soul abides with those remains, resting in the embrace of Mother Earth. That is why we say in funeral rites, may they rest in eternal peace. In conclusion, when a person dies, the spiritual body separates into two different entities, the heavenly soul of yang energy and the earthly soul of yin energy. This earthly soul remains with the body, entering a state of rest. 3 heavenly souls and 7 earthly souls. This doesn't mean we have 3 separate souls. They function as one through 3 aspects: the primordial soul, the awakening soul, and the spirit soul. As a person is reborn again and again, 10 times, 20 times, living, dying, and returning to a new body each time, the original soul from the very beginning is the primordial soul. The soul that awakens through repeated lifetimes is the awakening soul. These 3 act as one in spiritual function, and the body, too, is not just matter. Everything, those walls, even this microphone, every form of matter has some level of consciousness. All of it is a Yulyo-based life form, a spiritual being. Even a car, when it's quiet, try asking it, "Thank you for carrying me safely over such a long distance." I once spoke to the spirit of a car and asked, "How do you feel now?" It said, "I feel quite at ease." All things in the universe share one essence, pure consciousness. The eternal, luminous, absolute consciousness of the universe dwells in everything. So once the funeral rites are done and the coffin is placed into the ground, that's when the heavenly soul and the earthly soul completely separate.
Then the heavenly soul is taken by the 3 messengers and brought to the realm of judgment in the hereafter.
There, it must be judged, without exception, even children. And as for the earthly soul, it rests inside the coffin with the deceased body. It sleeps there. And sometimes a spiritual form rises from the grave and sits right above it. So when we truly understand the yin and yang principle of the heavenly soul and the earthly soul as part of human existence, we can govern wisely and manage the economy effectively, share with others, live for the world, and become true servants of humanity, and, in a real sense, true artists. At the source of the eternal world of light are 3 divine spirits.
They give birth, nurture, and awaken all beings, governing both humanity and nature. This is the Samshin, the 3 divine spirits.
There is the world of Mangyang, where 3 Mangyang spirits reside. Though one in essence, they manifest as 3 functions, the holy spirits of great holiness, radiance, and emptiness, each governing space, time, and mind, respectively. The human soul originates from the 3 terraces as the 3 heavenly souls, and the physical body is bestowed by the northern dipper, the 7 stars. The Korean people of the East are the first to awaken to this truth and deliver it to the world. In the heavens, there are 2 central constellations, the 3 terraces and the 7 stars. Human beings are formed through the energy of the 7 stars, therefore, we must know the names of those stars. To become a true cultured person or a statesman, this is essential.
The first is the Great Leader Star, which is most foundational, Daegwe Tamdang. Tamdang serves a role similar to a parliament, shaping the order and framework of human civilization. Gomun represents female leadership, giving rise to great women, earthly queens, and influential female figures. Nokjeon is the star of immortals and sages, opening the path to the Tao of immortality. The Mungok star sends forth brilliant individuals who shape the course of history. The Yeomjong star teaches the way of the mother, and the Mugok star teaches the way of the father. The Pagun star gives rise to supreme heroes and great emperors. Therefore, we must understand the basic functions of the 7 stars. What exactly is the Daegwe Tamlang star?
It is a place where supremely exalted beings reside. Divine beings and sovereign rulers from ancient civilizations all dwell in the highest realm of this place. The ancestors of humanity are there as well, and it is a vast place. From Earth's perspective within our solar system, it is said that the most powerful light in the universe comes from the 7 stars. Modern astronomers have actually confirmed this. There are countless stars, each in its own place, and ancestral spirits are said to dwell among them. Why did ancient kings across East and West, including African rulers and those from the Middle East, such as Sumerian or Persian kings, often wear top knots? Some traditions call this top knotting, with hair tied at the crown of the head. In China, figures like Confucius and Mencius, as well as many historical kings, are often depicted with top knots. For example, in the war film Red Cliff, characters such as Sun Quan of Wu, Zhou Yu, Zhuge Liang, and Liu Bei are all shown wearing top knots, full and elaborate, like that. In the tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the soldiers are also depicted wearing top knots. This is not necessarily Han Chinese culture. Qin Shi Huang and groups like the Shanrong are described as descendants of powerful Eastern horse-riding peoples known as Dongyi people. Confucius, Mencius, and Laozi are likewise regarded as figures from the Dongyi tradition.
In the traditional coming-of-age ceremony, a boy leaves youth behind and enters adulthood, taking responsibility for his own life. One of the rituals marking this transition was tying the top knot. For women, it was fastening the hair with a binyo, a hairpin. The word sangtu, meaning top knot, originally combines the characters for heaven and the dipper, as in the Big Dipper.
So this is not purely Chinese culture, but is associated with the broader Hongshan culture that emerged north of the Great Wall. In this northeastern Manchurian cultural region, rulers are depicted wearing top knots covered with jade headdress, known as ok-go. All humans, from kings to common people, receive their physical bodies through the Big Dipper and become human beings. Therefore, one should cultivate a mindset of becoming one with the Big Dipper, which is the source of one's existence and life. So, as we move from summer into autumn, I'd like to emphasize again the meaning of autumn. In spring, everything grows upward from the earth toward the sky. But in autumn, even plants reverse that flow. The life energy in their stems turns back toward the roots. It returns to its origin and goes back to the root again.
The phrase yokseng tosong, meaning attaining completion through reversed life flow, comes from Changyok and is regarded as extremely important. The question is, why, in the upcoming global transition called the Autumn Gaebyeok, now at its central stage, there will be sacrifices.
In spring, things first sprout from the roots and continue to grow bigger and bigger. In other words, what is born and grows in spring and summer gradually moves away from its roots, which is why the character yok, meaning reverse, is used. It grows by moving away from and opposing its origin. Children grow up the same way, through trouble, struggle, and rebellion, and eventually they mature. Once you move beyond youth and enter the later stage of life, you begin to ask deeper questions. Who am I? What do my ancestors mean to me? What is the purpose of my life as a human being? What is the mystery of the universe, of existence itself? These questions arise instinctively, and through them, you find your way back to the source. This is called seeking out the beginning and returning to the origin. Wars, tsunamis, Volcanic eruptions and major earthquakes could lead to Japan's near collapse in the future. It is claimed that a population of over 120 million could be reduced to around 200,000 survivors in a single area. This was reportedly stated decades ago by the Japanese monk Kidano Keiho. Can you imagine a population of 120 million collapsing like that? It is described as an unimaginable upheaval, a great transformation. There are also similar claims about the United States. A prophet once drew maps predicting that the country could split apart, with the East and West breaking away, or even along North-South divisions. In some versions, rising waters are also mentioned as part of this scenario. The idea suggests that the United States could fragment into separate states, or even into over 100 smaller nations. It is also said that many Native American nations could re-emerge. Similar claims are made about China, suggesting it could break into multiple countries beyond its current 55 ethnic groups. Sangjanim said, while conducting a work of renewing heaven and earth, the early heaven has been governed by the destiny of Sanguk, the principle of mutual conflict, under which heaven, earth, humanity, and the spirit realm have endured long ages of struggle and war, and now that destiny is coming to an end.
At this very turning point, when the cosmic summer ends and the cosmic autumn opens, this dramatic and cosmic transformation occurs. In other words, universe shifts from the early heaven to the later heaven at this decisive time of Gaebyeok. Sangjanim said, I myself descended into this world in human form, as all the spirits of heaven and earth earnestly pleaded for my incarnation.
Sangjanim also said that he will avert all impending colossal catastrophes through the use of minor misfortunes.
Bitterness and grief have accumulated throughout cosmic spring and summer, and even the sorrow of a single individual is enough to obstruct the flow of heaven and earth's qi.
Throughout history, those in power, the imperialists, tyrants, and rulers who delighted in war, and even today, even in so-called democracies, it is not much different.
In order to resolve the bitterness and grief of the early heaven, Sangjanim first allowed all restrictions to be lifted and confusing dharmas to arise.
And in that time when this true dharma emerges, a new civilization of cosmic light arises, an age of wise, radiant culture. It is also the time when Sangjanim's Tao of enlightenment emerges.
Sangjanim said, heaven and earth are in disorder now. My teachings are the true Dharma, beyond the mainstream. All study within the mainstream is of no use. In the time to come, smallpox will break out. In Congo, and in about 120 countries, monkeypox already signaled its outbreak.
In the coming times, there will be wars throughout heaven and earth that bring an end to mutual conflict in the early heavens order. When I first heard the term wars throughout heaven and earth while conducting field research on the Dojeon over more than 50 years, the term itself felt deeply impactful. This is a final war that changes the very order of heaven and earth.
Sangjanim defined this as the Sangshidam tournament, the final war. He said that World Wars I and II were the children's stage and the youth stage, conflicts driven by immaturity and youthful aggression. But the final stage, the true decisive match, is Sangshidam, the adult stage, where the entire order of the world and the spirit realm is completely overturned.
The Korean Peninsula is the cradle of civilization in Northeast Asia, as well as the Earth's central energy center, as described in Eastern geography. This final war will bring about the collapse of the peninsula's long history of division.
Sangjanim said, in times to come, the Sangshidam showdown will unfold, and the 38th parallel will be swept away.
Few will survive. Even then, must there not remain a seed of humanity? Humanity's life and death rest on each step you take. What matters most now is how we engage with the future AI civilization and bring forth the inner light of our spirituality at the deepest level of the universe.
In the ultimate world of light, there are three eternal divine beings who existed from the moment of the universe's creation, what I mentioned earlier as three Mangyang spirits, later known as the three divine spirits.
They are originally referred to as the Mangyang spirit, while it is the underlying principle of pure consciousness and eternal light. We must understand it as a verb, an active, living force. Later, it is nominalized as the Holy Spirits, the beings of light. In later times, it is referred to in many ways, God, the Creator, the Maker, but in essence, it is a nature deity, a faceless divinity of nature. Since heaven and earth opened, the Father, Samsin Sangjanim, as an anthropomorphic spirit who governs the entire universe, rules all existence in unity with the Samsin. His counterpart is the Heavenly Mother.
The principle of Shichonju Chohwajong is to serve the true Lord of heaven and earth,
The cosmic Father and Mother who govern the universe. What is the core message of enlightenment in the East? It is that even before this universe came into being, before space and time unfolded, the eternal light of the universe already held the positions of heaven and earth. The cosmic Father and Mother, known in the I Ching as Gun and Gon. We must meet and become one with the cosmic Father and Mother. This is Donghak. To serve and become one with the cosmic Father and Mother is the spirit of sea. Through this, a new civilization of light, spiritual culture, and human wisdom is formed and fulfilled. This is Sichonju Johwajong Yongsebulmang Mansaji, the foundation of the Mansaji civilization. When we look at the cultural origins of humanity, the culture of Lang began to fade around 4,000 years ago. It briefly resurfaced when the Buddha, after attaining enlightenment, gathered 10,000 disciples on Vulture Peak and transmitted the most profound teaching of his entire life. This event is known as the Vulture Peak Assembly. At that gathering, the son of a famous finance minister participated with his own 500 disciples. He brought a flower as an offering. The Buddha simply held it up and smiled. That day, he spoke no words. It was the teaching of silence. The message was this: when you step into the very deepest realm of the universe's radiance, the eternal light of the cosmos appears as a single, immense white flower. I have seen it. Among 10,000 gathered, only one person smiled back, meaning, Master, I too have seen that flower. To that person, Buddha handed the flower, transmitting the lineage of his Dharma. That person was Mahakasyapa. Afterward, Buddha said to his son Rahula and a few others, "Do not be content within my Dharma. Maitreya himself will come in the future." We are now at the time of the Autumn Gaebyeok. The Buddha saw the eternal true form of the universe, and it was a single flower. And we should become one with that eternal flower of the cosmic light.
The one who has achieved this unity with that flower is called Arirang. So Arirang is a compound of Ari and Rang. We've spoken of Lang, a radiant human, a being of light, one who has become united with heaven and earth, living to embody the will of the cosmos. This is the true person of light. Over more than 50 years of field research across the world, I have traced original cultural texts in the world, and the culture of Arirang is now soon to be fully introduced.
Wherever you go in the world, you can find the culture of flower. It's remarkable. In India, every Buddha, every sage, every deity such as Brahma, Shiva, all are seated upon flowers. In the Middle East, consider Cyrus, who liberated the Jewish people. Years ago, I visited his palace and tomb in Iran. His crown, earrings, robes, and belt were all adorned with flowers of light. The ceilings of Islamic sanctuaries are filled with flowers of light, and at the center of every Christian and Catholic cathedral, the same, a flower of light.
There are many theories about the origin of Arirang. One involves the Evenki people living near Lake Baikal. I visited there myself, and words like Arirang and Sirirang exist in that region. Similar words are found in India as well. You might have heard the lyrics of the song Arirang. Here we come together, Arari. We're crossing over the Arirang Pass. Truly, the song Arirang carries many layers passed down since the ancient golden age of Grandmother Mago, echoing the dignity, righteousness of the sage kings and beings of light. This culture of light has endured to this day. As the nations of Korea's ancestors rose and fell over thousands of years, it survived countless hardships. This is the true meaning behind the lyrics. Cross over the Arirang Pass.
What's important to understand is that this is not a history of 2,000 or 3,000 years.
The word Arirang emerged 10,000 years ago, in the age of goddesses. The records show that Grandmother Mago was the true primogenitor of all humanity, and the word magic itself derives from her name, Mago.
Sacred sites dedicated to Grandmother Mago are found in great numbers across Korea, with hundreds located on Jirisan Mountain and throughout the country. At our research institute, there was a couple, both doctors, who earned their degrees in Korea. They studied this and said there are around 2,400 such sites worldwide.
Dr. Kim Jung-min created a global map of Mago cultural heritage sites. The culture of Arirang emerged from this Mago culture, yet it cannot be grasped through conventional scholarship, no matter how many decades one studies it. Even when scholars attempt to understand it, they just make theories by drawing inferences or loosely connecting the origins and sentiments of language. The only way to truly understand the meaning of Arirang is to receive a flower of cosmic light and become an Arirang human yourself. Now, we are going to experience that culture. Ari means egg. The Korean word for egg is al, and Ari is its variation. In essence, al refers to the primal seed of cosmic light, while Rang represents a being of light who has received the flower of light. So, Arirang is a declaration of one's true existence. I have become an eternal being of light, an immortal.
In building the body of light, dispelling darkness from body, mind, and spirit, dissolving the inflammations and ailments within us, we are reborn as beings of light. This is the true experience of another AI civilization, archetypal intelligence, the experience of the human of light. There are 3 channels of light within our bodies, one at the center of the head, one at the center of the chest, and one about 5 centimeters below the navel, deep within. These are the upper, middle, and lower tanjons. In heaven, there are samshin. On earth, there are samhan. And within the human body, samjin. The human being carries the divinity of the Creator Samson as nature, life, essence. The very mind of the Creator Samson resides in the brain. This is the primordial spirit, which is dormant as though asleep. In sustaining our physical body, the conscious spirit in our heart functions, thinking, judging, working, caring about all things in life. The heart is not merely an organ, it is the organ of the soul. Our conscious spirit lives here. When we quiet our restless minds and truly open our hearts, thinking that we are becoming one with all of nature, the body suddenly becomes healthy. Isn't that remarkable? The more we empty our minds, the freer we become, and the more the light of the universe flows in to fill that space. The symbol for this is zero, also expressed as emptiness or nothingness.
Grandmother Mago Samshin was the first to bestow the flower of cosmic light, the flower that enables humans to become beings of light. Rang.
Grandmother Mago bestows the white flower of light. Her two daughters, the Holy Mothers Gung-hee and So-hee, bestow the red and blue flowers. These represent Muguk and Taeguk, the original body of the universe in its substance and function. And within you, these lights come together as one. After 10,000 years, as civilization shifted to a male deity culture, humanity came to understand there is a Father in the universe. In the age of father-centered civilization, we now receive a new flower of light, Sonjeonghwa. This flower can be given to both the living and the spirit of the dead, inserted into the crown of the head in a single moment. Its power is truly extraordinary. When one receives this single, eternal flower of the cosmic light, in that instant, one becomes connected to the infinite universe, the world of light. As long as one continues to practice, this experience does not fade. It is carried forward eternally. Receiving this one flower, you are connected to the entire universe. The one eternal purpose for which we live is to become one with heaven and earth, the sun and the moon, all our ancestors and sage kings, to live with one mind, and to create a world of eternal peace for all.
To become Arirang, a being of light, one must know the name of this cosmic flower. It is called the Yulyo-hwa flower. I will now bestow Yulyo-hwa upon you. It is the eternal flower of light that enables one to become Arirang.
The Sonjeonghwa flower descends from the Yulyo-hwa flower. It can be given to the deceased, to departed parents and ancestors, planting the flower within them and co-creating a body of light. It pours down and enters every crown of the head. With your thought, draw the flower into your head, into the space between the eyebrows, the third eye. There, a flower appears with a stem and petals about 15 centimeters in size. With your thought, plant it in the liver, both lungs, the stomach, intestines, bones, knees, and head. Plant a large flower in the heart. For smaller organs, kidneys, small intestine, pancreas, plant a flower 1/3 or 1/4 of the size using your thought. Everything is done through your thought. Then we will chant the Sichon Juju mantra. Through your thought, plant these flowers, then divide them into countless smaller and smaller flowers that fill the cellular and quantum realms of your body. Moment by moment, the flowers differentiate and grow ever smaller to the cellular level, then to the quantum, and countless trillions of flowers bloom in every moment. The eternal flower of the cosmic light explodes, and your body is regenerated.
아리랑은 1만 년 전후부터 지혜로운 어머니들이
Around 10,000 years ago, wise mothers who had deepened their meditation received the Yulyohwa, the flower of light, and enshrined it within their foreheads. Upon becoming pregnant, they would plant this flower within the placenta from the very beginning of the embryo's formation.
In this imagery lies the final understanding of today's teaching. This is what Arirang truly is.
When conception first occurs within the mother's body and the embryo takes root in the womb, it receives the Yulyohwa. In this way, the fetus grows into a flower of light being. When the mother plants that single flower within, the entire being, head and body, becomes a flower of light, a being of light.
So in Arirang, Ari is the luminous seed, not an ordinary seed, not a worldly human, but the seed of the flower of light.
The child born this way becomes the human existence the entire universe yearns for, the flower of light human, the human of light, one who carries the radiant light within. The primordial spirit of human culture in the universe, its cosmology, worldview, theology, and understanding of humanity, together with the long, suffering history of countless generations through wars and upheavals, all of this merges into hope, sorrow, and grief, woven as one.
When you sing Arirang, you experience every human emotion this world holds. In this way, the primal sound of the cosmic light has descended through the ages as the folk music of Arirang.
As the original message of the being of light gradually faded over the course of long ages, it came to be expressed as songs of youthful longing, frustration, transcendence, and joy. The way and law of Sangjenim and Temunim, the father and mother, the lords of heaven and earth, this is Jeung San Do. Jeung San Do is not a religion. Donghak, Eastern learning, is not a religion, nor are Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism. They are the Tao, the way.
In Jeung San Do, we speak of Samlang, Son Samlang, and Taeolang, names for beings of light who respond to this calling.
The time is coming when 12,000 great cosmic Samrang will emerge and overcome the upheavals of the Autumn Gaebyeok, the Great Plague, the Great War, and the shocks of Gaebyeok for over 3 years, and guide humanity to open the civilization of the later heaven. A new history will unfold, opening a new era. The center of that work is the Sangsang World Center. Both Koreans and all of humanity must participate in this together. So please engage earnestly, read the Dojeon, watch Sangsang broadcasts, visit in person, and carry the resolve to become a protagonist in restoring the culture of the cosmic Samrang, the true human of light, the culture of Arirang. Let us all, together with all people of the world, be reborn with pride as the great people of Korea, the new Hwanguk people of the later heaven. Thank you.